There's no safe area as far as U.S. personnel here.
On a clear day, you can see the enemy.
All 4 of the grenades landed in this area right here.
You have bad guys all around us.
It's just an all-around dangerous place.
This is Operation Afghanistan, Alaska's Spartan Brigade. Alaska has been a strategic location for the United States military since World War II. It's what's helped build the state, and even now, military spending is helping Alaska weather an economic recession. But it comes at a price. In September of 2017, about 2,100 soldiers left their families and their homes to deploy for a 9-month mission. Their goal, to train, advise, and assist the Afghan National Security Forces. Channel 2's Blake Essick and photojournalist Albert Luton bring us the story of how these soldiers spent their days and the role of the 425 in Afghanistan.
The Spartan Brigade has 2 missions here in Afghanistan. The NATO Resolute Support Mission, aimed at training, advising, and assisting the Afghan security forces. And then there's the Pentagon's mission, known as Operation Freedom Sentinel, a counterterrorism mission. I'm told both are equally important in the effort to help the Afghans control and defend their own country.
During the IDF accident, put on the ground and wait for my command.
6 days a week. Guardian angels from Poland provide safe passage for advisors from the 425. Advisors like Lieutenant Colonel Richard Johnson, who's headed off base for a battle update briefing with leaders from the Afghan National Army.
This is where the rubber meets the road for the train and advise and assist mission.
While soldiers here will admit it's not exactly the most exciting mission they've ever participated in, this is exactly what NATO's Resolute Support role looks like.
I asked the brigade commander, hey, talk to the governor.
The task? To train, advise, and assist.
That is the big part of our mission set in helping the ANA, telling them what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, making recommendations to them on how they can better enable their unit.
As for the troops' dual role here, Operations Freedom Sentinel is the 425's other mission. The Spartan Brigade is focused on counterterrorism, providing security for special forces on the front line against insurgents. 2 missions that Corps Commander Lieutenant General Mohammed Zaman Waziri says is helping Afghan security forces gain confidence and proficiency on the battlefield as they now lead the fight against both ISIS and the Taliban.
We look at both of them as a threat and the enemy of this country. Anywhere they live, anywhere that they live and they have their safe haven, we're going to attack, we're going to go do an operation to get rid of them.
And for the Afghan army to be successful, mentoring and support from Alaska's Arctic Airborne Brigade are critical.
It is a non-traditional mission, but the young men and women from Alaska, from this brigade, have adapted to the mission, have embraced it, and they're making a huge impact for the future of Afghanistan.
A future which commanders here say is looking brighter, bit by bit, day by day.
While things are looking brighter, soldiers have also experienced some very real danger in that region.
For 425 soldiers serving here in eastern Afghanistan, there's no such thing as 9 to 5. Their workday started when they deployed in September, and it doesn't finish until they get back home to Alaska. On a warm day in January at Bagram Airfield, soldiers from J-Bear's Able Company 3509 are simulating a green-on-blue attack.
It's a very real danger and something that all units in this country and any other country where we're deployed in should be ready to react to.
All right, get out. In this situation, the platoon must secure the area while the medic tends to 2 injured soldiers. A real-life scenario that could and has played out on the battlefields of Afghanistan.
We try to train every day as much as possible, unless something really comes up or a mission comes up. And if a mission or something does come up, because we've been training every day, we are ready for that mission.
For the men and women of the 425,
all right, we're good.
Maintaining a constant sense of readiness is what they do for a living.
It's not just a job. It's not just going to work every day.
And perhaps there's no better example of that than what happened a few weeks ago. about 114 miles southeast of Bagram Airfield at Forward Operating Base Fenty.
All 4 of the grenades landed in this area right here.
On that day, Sergeant Aaron Funderburk and Specialist Ryan Camden were providing security for international contractors when a middle-aged Afghan man approached.
And then he walked down here, almost straight in front of us, and squatted down facing out, and then just started lobbing grenades over his head.
The first grenade hit an international contractor from Uganda in the neck. Another landed at the feet of a group of contractors. It was then the attacker squared up on the 2 Americans, throwing a grenade which landed at their feet.
We were probably about a meter away from the grenade that blew, and once it blew, we picked up, looked over, and he was running across the field, and we just dropped him out in the field.
Troops here got lucky that day, as only one of the 4 grenades thrown actually exploded, determined to recycled relics from the Soviet era. Several weeks later, white residue still marks the spot of the attack here. Meanwhile, as the sun goes down behind the Torgar Mountains, roughly 20 miles northwest of Tactical Base Gambarry, soldiers fire several rounds of the M777 howitzer daily in support of coalition forces and to deny the enemy any possibility of movement within the 425's operating space.
Not too often does every unit get engage the enemy, but when we do, we just have to be ready to always answer the call, accurately and timely.
A mission which the entire brigade across eastern Afghanistan is training for and focused on, one day at a time.
Of the roughly 2,100 soldiers from the 425 deployed across eastern Afghanistan, there are 2 married couples, but only one is serving at the same location.
It helps to have one another to we're in this together.
Staff Sergeants Nicole and Charles Detweiler have been married for about 5 years. They met a few weeks before their first deployment in 2011. Despite the comfort of having each other, their family isn't whole. Their kids, 9-year-old Kamari and 3-year-old Jordan, are back home in Florida, being cared for by Charles's father. The Detweilers didn't have a choice when it came to one of them staying back with the kids, but they do have a good support system back home and with each other in Afghanistan to keep their family strong and focused on the mission at hand. Still ahead, behind the front lines in Afghanistan, we'll travel to Outpost Mad Dog. About 2,100 members of Alaska's Spartan Brigade are assigned to 25 different installations across Afghanistan. While some are serving their 9-month-long deployment at large bases like Bagram Air Base, others are at far more remote outposts involved in counterterrorism efforts. Channel 2's Blake Essick and photojournalist Albert Luton take us now to one such outpost on the front line against insurgents.
The flight we're about to take to OP Mad Dog in the southern Nangahar province almost never happens during the day. That's because the number of insurgents hiding in the Roman Valley making this flight incredibly dangerous.
Embarking on a journey in one of the most perilous regions in the world. We are wheels up from Jalalabad Airfield. Touching down at Outpost Mad Dog about 20 minutes later. It's a short flight, but one that requires an escort into a part of Afghanistan affectionately known by U.S. soldiers as the Valley of Death.
It's just an all-around dangerous place.
Situated in the Moman Valley, a handful of miles from the Afghan border with Pakistan, Outpost Mad Dog and several others like it are located on what's considered the front lines in the fight against ISIS and the Taliban.
This is an inherently dangerous place, absolutely, and you have bad guys all around us.
Because of that, this small, rugged outpost with no running water, no kitchen, and tents built from scratch.
This is the most austere location you can really get.
Is manned by U.S. infantry and artillery platoons from the 425, standing guard 24 hours a day.
Yep, good to go, sir. Here we go.
Constantly training. They aim to send a very loud message to insurgents.
There's no safe area as far as U.S. personnel here. So we maintain pretty strict guard towers and defensive operations.
The 425's primary mission here to provide security on the ground and artillery fire support for both U.S. and Afghan special forces conducting operations within the valley. A call First Lieutenant Kyle Brand says his platoon is prepared to answer.
They definitely understand that at any moment they have to drop their stuff and do whatever they're doing because someone's calling on them, and they're calling on them for a pretty good reason.
One Green Beret, who asked us to protect his identity, says the Spartan Brigade's support gives him and his team peace of mind.
It's nice to have the 425 soldiers there with us, carrying what we carry, bringing the fight to the enemy. I trust the Afghan forces; they're capable. There's just a peace of mind having an American next to you, having a guy wearing the same flag as you.
And providing cover here is no small responsibility. It's a life and death fight against determined insurgents trying to hide throughout these hills.
On a clear day, you can see the enemy. You can see American aircraft, doing their mission.
A desperate yet determined fight in a 16-year battle to control these otherwise quiet mountains.
Sport is often considered the world's most unifying tool for peace, even if it often serves as only a temporary reprieve from violence and war. It's a reality not lost on those who live and work in a war zone.
Although it seems conflict exists in all corners of the globe, so does soccer. A game with the ability to bring people together, even if they might seem to have little else in common.
Around 3:30 in the afternoon, on any given day, this dirt lot transforms into something beautiful.
It's all about friendship.
Surrounded by barbed wire, a bunker, and soldiers standing guard from above, a whistle blows, and a game begins.
All right, back.
From the sidelines, the differences are obvious.
We speak like 4 or 5 different languages between all of us.
But once on the field, their differences fade away. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you believe in, or why you're here. There's only the game.
The only language you need is soccer.
With each dribble, pass, and shot on goal, the beautiful game unites a staff sergeant from Virginia, a contractor from Uganda, and an Afghan translator from Kabul.
There's only one soccer ball and the rules are all the same.
Turning this dirt field into a cultural bridge.
It's more than just a ball, a sport. It's about like the people that we come together with, and it more or less eases tensions without knowing it.
In a place where joy, fun, and friendship are hard to find, this game creates a foundation for all three. And in that way, it's as much a part of the peacekeeping process as the many missions run here in Afghanistan.
Thank you, sir.
Doing what's right, even in the face of death. Still ahead, why this man is risking his future for what he believes in. NATO and U.S. Army leaders say the Afghan National Army has made significant strides towards becoming an independent force, one capable of providing security for its own country. This is the story of some of the Afghans who have risked it all to make that progress possible.
When you live in a war zone, sometimes your chance for a better life is to risk your own life. And that's exactly what Afghan translators do every single day.
Not a native speaker, so it is hard to know.
I'm not going to tell you his name, and I'm not going to show you his face.
What kind of ping pong do you like?
Sure, he's really good at ping pong, but that's not why he's here. And it's not why his life is in danger.
And absolutely, they will catch us and they will kill us.
He's referring to the Taliban, and the reason they want him dead, it's because of what he does for a living, more specifically, who he does it for.
They don't ask who you are. They don't think about you or you're human being. They just see if you are a linguist, an interpreter, or anyone, even a shopkeeper with the United States soldiers. Whenever they catch you, they kill you.
A reality he's witnessed firsthand. At 17 years old, he and a friend applied to be interpreters for the U.S. military. He was denied because he wasn't 18. His friend got the job and was sent to Kandahar.
After 2 weeks, my friend, they brought their dead body to Kabul. And I saw, oh my God, he's my best friend. He is my best friend. How he died? So the Taliban shot on his neck and he was killed. and it was just 2 weeks in Kandahar city, and they brought their dead body to Kabul, and I, with my own eyes, I saw him.
Despite what he's witnessed and all too aware of the risk, still, he applied again. And for the last 5 months, he's been working for the U.S. Army as a linguist, a critical communications bridge between advisors from Alaska's Spartan Brigade and the Afghan National Army.
It's very important, 100%. If I don't go to the mission to interpret the U.S. Army's advice to the ANA guys, though there will be no mission.
A mission he's sacrificed nearly everything to be a part of, lying to friends, family, and anyone who asks where he lives or what he does for a living.
I cannot tell them, I cannot tell anyone about this, my job.
He says it's worth the risk to rid his country of terrorism.
I accept the risk of death, but it is my dream to serve my country, to my people, that to get out of the old mind of Taliban, where they teach the youths to radicalism, extremism. So I want to serve from this way.
For America, this war is about nation building, stabilizing a key region in the turbulent Middle East. But for this translator, it's a battle for the soul of a nation, his nation, a battle with danger, consequence, and opposing ideology. With his own life in peril, this translator and many others just like him have made a choice. And while we can't call him by his given name, some call him heroic.
Most of the interpreters working with the U.S. military are on 2-year contracts, and once the man whose story you just heard is finished, he plans to apply for a special interpreter's visa to enter the United States, recognizing that as long as the Taliban exists, he can no longer live in his own country.
The story of the Afghan war can be one of beauty in the face of the harsh realities of war. Coming up, how one soldier put his passion on hold to help bring peace. Every soldier from the 425 deployed across eastern Afghanistan has sacrificed something to answer the nation's call. Blake introduces us now to one member of Alaska's Spartan Brigade who gave up his pursuit of a musical career, at least temporarily, to join the ranks.
His name is Specialist Seon Kim, a young man who put his dream on hold to serve his country. To safely get around Afghanistan, taking to the air becomes almost routine. Each day, more than 500 fixed and rotor-wing aircraft move supplies and soldiers across the country. But when aircraft fall victim in this 16-year conflict, members of the 425 are ready to respond within minutes.
We have a board over here with everyone's name.
27-year-old Specialist Seon Kim, originally from South Korea,
this is my room,
is one of 2 medics on what's known as the Area Response Force.
My job is to make sure that those people in the downed aircraft have the best chance they have to survive and get to higher care.
Still stable? Minutes can mean the difference between life and death for the most seriously injured.
Check that tourniquet.
Requiring a constant state of readiness.
It can happen in any moment, even now.
A mission that can be stressful and even mentally draining, which is why soldiers say you have to find a way to clear the mind. And for most, that means spending time here, hitting the weights. As for Kim, he frequents the gym too.
Let's see, where should I play?
But he's not here to lift. For him, it's all about the acoustics. Kim's been playing since he was 9.
And the sound and the almost limitless voice that you can make out of it. Different textures and colors.
His dream, to travel the world as a concert violinist. Judging by the talent, Afghanistan may only be his first stop. And while he doesn't get to play as much as he'd like, it still serves as practice.
There's no such thing as perfection in violin or in music. You just keep going up and up.
And the guys at the gym don't seem to mind attending his pop-up concerts.
You know, you hear that, and it's the kind of sound that just kind of strikes you, and you stop and just have to listen to it because it just kind of it draws you in. It's enthralling.
To keep that audience, he even takes requests.
So we ask him to play certain songs, whether it's AC/DC or the theme song to Game of Thrones.
While the music choices here may be up for debate, Kim's decision to join the Army was not, opting to put his own musical aspirations on hold.
I still have all of my life to pursue it.
To honor the country which gave him citizenship and an opportunity to receive higher education. Meaning for now, Specialist Kim is focused on saving lives and serving his country, with the hard rock of Rotors providing the soundtrack. And for this symphonic soldier, that hits just the right note.
Specialist Kim, like all soldiers who serve their nation's call, has a plan for his life after returning from war. But not all soldiers live to see that goal realized. This is how those fallen warriors are remembered.
All 274 of them have paid the ultimate sacrifice for you and I. And that's what probably touches me the most.
It captures the best things that our nation is about. Everything that we were founded on, everything that we were there, the selfless acts, the courage and everything. This is what this represents as you move all the way around. You can just go over each one of these names right here and you can talk about every one of them, and they all have done some fantastic sacrifice that a lot of people just don't understand.
The one guy that means the most to me on this wall is Tom Kennedy. He was a friend of mine, was killed in 2012 by a suicide attack. You don't want to forget this. You don't want to forget the men and women that have come before us that have done this.
The soldiers of the 425 Alaska Spartan Brigade are scheduled to return to Alaska this spring. But if you want to help support the troops still stationed in Afghanistan, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Armed Services YMCA. To all of those who are current or former members of the armed forces, we thank you for your service.